we get lost in a dreamland of puzzles. Cory, you and I jumped into the world of Dreamo.
Yeah.
A unique puzzle experience focused around solving puzzles of a cube, but it's more the story that caught me and not so much you.
Well, you know what? I'm going to relate this directly to a game we played recently called Sojourn. It's another first person, kind of almost, I wouldn't say the same art style, but very similar art style. Kind of approaching this one. Again, kind of this storyline you follow through as you solve these puzzles, but in this case, opposed to Sojourn, there's actually voiceover to the characters we are in this game. And for me, I liked the voiceover. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. As the game went on, I had some different opinions, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. I am a puzzle guy. I do like puzzles, so the mechanics of the puzzles and the way they work in this game are actually really intriguing. Like you said, it's a cube that you can rotate all around, and the idea is there's a pile of gears on the floor next to the cube that you now have to pick through and fit onto this cube in a certain manner to complete a puzzle that allows you to kind of uncover a clue to kind of make the next step in this adventure.
Yeah, it leads you to the next part of the story, because this, honestly, is the only game aspect of this game. This is a walking adventure game. That's all it is. It's a walking sim with a cube to kind of entertain yourself, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, for me, it was a story of Jack and what's going on in his world, and I don't want to give away, because that's really the thing that kind of gravitates and holds you the most within this. But basically, at the start of it, Jack experiences a plane crash that kind of just messes up his memories, and he's stuck in this like hospital trance thing, but it brings him into this dreamlike state. And this is where the whole Dreamo thing comes from. But then you talk to your counterpart who's outside in the real world, Tara, as she kind of helps you and guides you through this dream state and solving these puzzles. But to be honest, man, by the time I got to the end of the game, I was so done with the puzzles. I just wanted them gone, and I just wanted to finish the story. That was it.
You know what? One thing I've learned now that we've played a few of these puzzle games is I'm definitely not into the pacing of a lot of these games. They do tend to be slower.
Very slow.
And I mean, I'm going to say it could be real slow depending on how much of a difficult time you have with these puzzles.
Yes.
And I mean, a lot of people don't like to be pointed out, you know, how dumb they are maybe in the moment, right? All of us have brain farts at times.
Sure.
And these puzzles aren't always easy to solve, so sometimes these things can become discouraging, especially for people that are new to this genre. So for me, it just didn't have that pacing that I necessarily wanted. Like I said, I like the mechanics of the puzzles, but when I've looked at, you know, the 40th cube of my adventure, the gears do a few different things, and now things are gravity fed depending on how I move the cube. Like they do change things up as you go to try to keep it fresh. But for me, the story never grabbed me, so the puzzles aren't electric enough to kind of keep you going through all the way. So there is an aspect to this that if you don't get immersed, it's going to be hard to stick with it.
The puzzles aren't enough to keep you there. That's the thing, right? That's what I just said. It's the only game aspect of this thing is these cubes. And I like the difficulty ramp up they did with the cubes. I thought it was well paced as far as cube progression goes. But by the time one of the last puzzles I was at, I'm there for half an hour trying to figure this thing out, because by the time you're doing it, you get to this thing and now you're teleporting between cube worlds. So now you're on one face, but then you hit the space bar, and then that jumps you to like another part of this cube within another dimension, and that does it 3 different times. Faced with these other parts, the pins that go in and out, and then the certain pins got to be facing the right direction, and then the gravity will drop it. And I almost smashed my computer.
Just thinking about it again.
Like I was so irritated by the time I was actually done with it. I'm just like, I just want the story by that point. To me, some of these people are really going to gravitate and really want to push and solve these puzzles. And some of them were really fun. And some I hammered out in like seconds. Others took maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And that 10, 15 minutes, I'm like, okay, cool. I can finally get past that and work with that. But to get to that difficulty of, man, you are at the end of the game, because we're going to hit you with as many confusing parts of this puzzle that you're going to get, and you're just going to get infuriated by it.
It's true, because you know what, the one thing, because like I said, I do enjoy doing puzzles, so kind of you know that it's ramping up as you go, so I'm kind of always looking forward to seeing what's changing for the next puzzle as I bring in new elements. But again, it's still the same cube, you're looking at the same gears, so I get the building of the difficulty when it comes to, you know, adding different elements to the cube puzzles as the game moves along. But when you get, you know, have that, it seems very repetitive, so by the end of the game you're kind of, you know, I'm just glad the puzzles are over. But at the same same time, we talked about the voice acting a little bit earlier. I was pleased to see that it was in the game. I wasn't just reading text bubbles the whole time.
Man, can you imagine?
Because that would have been even worse.
Absolutely.
I mean, at least Sojourn was just like pictures and video, and there was there was nothing. And it was at least, interpretive.
Yep.
But with this, I find the voice acting is very like monotone.
Very.
There's no character in these characters.
No, Jack has very little personality. He's just kind of one tone the whole time.
You were supposed to think positively, Jack. Perhaps you sacrificed too much time for things that did not matter.
Like all of us.
Man, this game isn't that long to be saying these same phrases over and over and over again.
Yeah, games like this have to stay somewhat fresh throughout the course of the game to keep people engaged. You have to be a pretty hardcore puzzle game fan, I think, to stick with this one.
You know what? I stuck it out. I really did like the game. I liked the story and the confrontation and the feedback. You feel the tension build between Jack and Tara as the story progresses. And man, by the time I got to the end of the game, I was like, well, okay, it was worth fighting through some of those puzzles to get to the final outcome of the story, because that's where it really kind of caught me the most. And man, I loved the story, but it was so slow. That was the problem.
It takes a while to get there.
You know what? And the game isn't all that long. 6 to 8 hours, you can easily pump this thing out. But that's 6 to 8 hours. If you don't catch someone's attention in the first hour to 2 hours of a game,
it's tough to keep
they're
going.
not really going to stick around.
No, definitely not.
Well, I think that was enough puzzle cubes for me for this one. What do you score in Dreamo, Corey?
You know what? Like I said, we've done a few of these now, so I've kind of got a benchmark of where I think these games should be at. And like I said, the pacing's slow, but that's the style behind these games.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's not the pace I necessarily enjoy in a game. I do enjoy the puzzle mechanics. They get a little old after time. But you know what? This one is a complete game, and I think it's for somebody. It's just not for me, so I'm going to give it a 6.
Man, I'm a little bit higher for you because the story, by the time you finish the story and you get there, you get that feeling, you get the whole wrapped up package. It makes sense, and you feel the weight of what Jack went through to kind of get to that. But the puzzles kind of did drag on a little bit to the point where I just want past the puzzles to hear the rest of the story. I'm there with a 7.
The puzzle mechanics in Dreamo work well, but the weak voice acting and repetitive nature of the puzzles make it difficult to stay engaged.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos.